Bruzo from K91 Specialized Dog Training, answering questions for our subscribers. Put your question below, and if it's a good question, a lot of people like it, I will answer for you. First question comes from Neil, for real, his username, and the question is, Mike, if you are being attacked by a dog and or a group of dogs, what is the best defense? Good question, Neil. Very important one, too. This I can give you a good answer for because I've been training mostly aggressive dogs for over 20 years and even trained dogs to attack people. And I have been on the other end of unplanned attacks plenty of times, and using what I know about dog behavior and training, I can tell you what to do to best get out of that situation in one piece. Number one is, if there's any way possible, just get yourself out of the situation. Obviously, if you get behind a barrier, you get behind a door, do it. That should be obvious, all right? But if that is not an option, the most important information for you to remember is that most dogs that are attacking you, they're attacking you because there's an element of fear. They're worried about you for some reason. And so it's a mentality is, I'm going to get Neil before he gets me. And if you know that, you can use that against the dog. If you act scared of the dog, then it's more likely to actually know it's making the right decision of attacking you and that it can take you out, as opposed to if you act like you're not scared of the dog. The dog is much more likely to go on the defensive once it gets within reach of you. So these are two things to remember. Eye of the tiger, all right, that's what you got to do. You get attacked, versus eye of the pussycat, all right? So eye of the tiger, eye of the pussy, all right? Don't have eye of the pussy when you're getting attacked, because if that happens, that dog is going to kick your butt. It's going to kick your butt, all right? But this has happened to me plenty of times, big scary dogs with all intentions of ripping into me. If you know that it's because they're scared, and as they're coming, you come forward and you give them eye of the tiger and you act not scared, they are going to go from what's called a fight drive. All right, fight drive means they are in a drive where they are coming to fight you. They see you as a challenger and they are going to fight. If you do not act scared and you come towards them and you take the offensive before they reach you, you're more likely to shift them back a step into what's called the defense drive, where they feel they have to protect themselves. And they're in this situation where they don't like you, but now they're like, oh, maybe I tried to bite off more than I can chew. So making that one little change, even though you have to go against Mother Nature and what you're feeling, a lot of times it's very scary getting attacked by a big dog, is going to make a big difference, all right? Eye of the tiger, you come towards them and they're going to start backing up, versus eye of the pussy, all right? You do that, their dog is going to dig into you, so you're going to get torn up, all right? So that's step one. And what if because you may not put them into a defense, but if you put them into that place, you have the upper hand. And then from there, you can usually, don't turn your back on that dog, keep that eye contact and kind of go forward. And at the same time, you could move, you can navigate your path so you could make your way to a barrier or to something large to grab, where you can now do the same thing and you put a barrier and keep them at bay. The average dog is designed to stay away from pointy things coming at them, all right? Think of what canines normally deal with, or domestic ones, they're herding like cattle and stuff like that. They're staying away from the front of things that might hurt them. Even wolves, they're going to usually stay away from the front. They're going to try to flank. So the average dog, acting naturally, does not want to come straight at something coming right into them. Now, you can run into a case where you have a very determined game type of dog, which is scared of almost nothing. And if that's the case, you're in a little bit of a different situation, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to get lose a limb from the dog. For instance, a lot of dogs that were selectively bred for like police work, and people are selectively breeding them to be scared of almost nothing. A lot of the dogs that were bred initially for combat and for fighting, like some of the bully breeds and mastiff breeds, if you get a really confident one, just like they were, originally going right for the nose of a bull, you can do whatever you want, and some of them are going to come right into you. All right. And that's how some people get killed by dogs, if they find themselves in one of these situations. So if you find yourself in that situation, you got to take a different tactic. If you show in the dog that you are not scared and that dog is coming, protect your vital areas. Make sure they don't get to your neck. Make sure they don't get to your face. I also probably don't let them get to your groin either. But most of them are not naturally really going over there. If you're going forward and they're not scared, they're going to come up. They're going to go out for what's the first thing that's in front of them. Or if there's nothing, some of them may come right up for your face if they're very, very confident. You do not want them to go there. So if that happens and they come, try a shot. If that dog is coming, get a foot out there. Try to kick the dog. Fight back. But you will learn really quick if that dog is not going to be intimidated by you fighting back. And you will learn really quick that if you start fighting the dog, some dogs are going to fight harder. And you are not going to be able to hurt one of these dogs to the point where they're going to let go if they're very, very game. It actually is like throwing gasoline in the fire. People do not realize that with like the really impressive fighting type of dogs that come for you. And if you know you're in a situation like that, do not waste your energy trying to fight the dog. You have to come up with a plan that works to make it so the dog physically cannot breathe, basically, that they cannot go on with the fight without using just force. It's not going to work. So you need a plan to go for their airway. A lot of times you have a dog, it's going to grab onto your arm, you fight them, it's just going to start thrashing, and if they're on there long enough, you may end up losing an arm, or you may end up bleeding to death, or the damage is going to get worse. What you need to do is you need to see, is this dog wearing a collar? Does this dog have something on its neck that I can reach and cut off the air and pull up on it or twist it to to get this dog off? Is there help available? It's okay to call for help. And if someone is going to be a good Samaritan, and you can tell them, do you have a belt? Do you have anything? You need some kind of rope to get around that dog's neck and have them put it high. If you're getting beat up that bad, the dog's usually in one spot and not letting go. The average person can get behind that dog if they start punching the dog may turn on them. But if they're slick, you can usually get something around that dog's neck and have them cut off the air, and then try to hold that dog back and swing the dog around to get it behind the barrier, to take that rope and sling it over something, to get the dog to stop coming after you. But you do not fight those dogs back. Another trick is if a dog is biting on you and someone has a hold of it, or you can get something, you're anywhere where you can fasten that dog somewhere to something. You can then use some kind of break-in stick. Look it up. It's actually pretty easy. You grab anything, some kind of stick. You could grab a pen if you have to. Anything. There's going to be an opening behind their molars. They can't shut those all the way when they're biting something. And you get something in the back of their mouth, and you take that and you wedge it and twist it and push it down the back of their tongue on top of their mouth. They're going to usually open their mouth for a second. So if someone has the dog on a leash, they could then pull the dog. They can pull the dog off. Now, if you are attacked by a group of dogs, that's a very bad situation. All right, hopefully that never happens to you. But if you do, you have to recognize same rules apply, but you need to recognize the most confident dog, and that's the one you focus on. There's usually going to be one that is the most confident dog, and you have to focus on that dog because that's the dog that's going to do the most damage, while you try to bear with it what else what all the other dogs are doing. Like once you could disable the lead dog or the most confident one, it's rare that you're going to have multiple ones that have the type of confidence where single-handedly they're going to kill you, so you go for that lead one. If you have to, use the same tactics the animal kingdom uses. Back yourself into some kind of corner where they can't get behind you. With the group of dogs, I wouldn't really do it with a single dog because you're not going to be able to drive them away. But with a group of dogs, sometimes you just have to call for help and get in a corner so they can't flank you. And then if you have something, try to keep them away from you. All right, but you can't do the impossible. All right, there hits a point where you just have to say, I'm kind of screwed here, and call for help and fend them off the best that you can. But go for that lead dog. I hope this helped. If you have any other questions, you want me to talk further about it, write in the comments, and I will try to answer those questions. All right, until next time, this is Mike DeBruzzo, Canine One, Specialized Dog Training.